Alright, there we go. Good evening, everyone. Today we're gonna read the final part of the 4.0 Shadow Exchange Content Edition blog post containing Kislev. Hi all, I'm back with a final update on the unit additions we're bringing to Shadow Exchange. Hopefully you're all up to date with the changes that are coming to Grand Cafe and Siege as a part of patch 4.2. But if you missed anything, just check this out below. Our Cafe is pretty alright. It was a good addition. And Siege was very lackluster. Before I get into the details about what to expect with Kislev, I'm excited to confirm that patch 4.2 will launch on Thursday, February the 22nd. As I alluded to in our last blog on Siege, the team have been working hard to get this exciting new content into your hands, and we cannot wait to hear what you think. Next week, we're thrilled to say that Black Library author David Geimer is back with a brand new short story on the Witch of Kislev. And on Wednesday, we'll be publishing the full patch notes for patch 4.0 so you can get caught up on what to expect with all the content drops for Shadow Exchange. Let's get to it. Alright. A new short story, I guess that's fun for people who likes to read. Much. Kislev 8th edition lore and IP. Let's scroll up. If you're like me, you've grown up with Warhammer and been a long-time fan, seeing Kislev give a new character and units at the launch of Total War Warhammer 3 was a special moment. Likewise with the addition of Mother Ostankia, Hag Witches, and other units in Shadow Exchange. This new uncharted ground for the faction was one of the we worked closely with Games Workshop on, from before release of Total Warhammer 3 and through the development of Shadow Exchange. Games Workshop took us through their various design concepts and deep dives into the new and updated lore that they had created for Kislev. Like with many things in life, this meant some out of the old and in with the new. Mother Stanky is a good example of this. She is Kislev's only true Hag Mother in the new and current lore that our game is based on. She is very much her own unique character with her own motives, desires, magical items, and history. This is why you see her charge into battle atop her sled, pulled by the things in the woods, her cauldron, rather than a more direct reference to real-world mythology. This you take, like with all other additions to Kislev, is what makes them exciting and brings them in line with other races in 8th edition and Games Workshop. So what they're saying here is this is our lore reason, quote unquote, why we didn't get the whatever those things are called, the hut with the chicken legs. Why she is on a sled instead of those houses. The same is true of other parts of past Kislev lore. Distinct Ongol and Gospodar split within Kislev is something that is no longer at the forefront of Kislevite lore. Instead, taking a backseat to allow us to tell us new stories with the faction, there are still nods to this. Horse archers already in the game, for example, but there won't be more implemented into our game now or moving forwards. And as we know, the light cavalry, including the horse archers, are pretty terrible Kislev units. They're early game units, and in this game, early game doesn't really exist because you get tire free really fast. It's only for like emergency recruitment cases. You can think of Kislev in many similar ways to the books and resources that we use for Games Workshop in making our game. We focus on the newest army books, 8th edition, or as close to as possible, and miniatures rather than adding things from early editions. RPG books, old miniatures, or peripheral novels and supplements that no longer embody the core nature of the characters, race, environment, etc. By doing this, we ensure that we're showing you the most authentic version of Warhammer World possible. Alright, so what they're saying here is stop fucking posting all the Age of Reckoning art book pictures of units and stuff. They're telling you to stop doing that and stop posting snippets from the Warhammer Fantasy RPG books. Mainly from 2nd edition. That's what they're telling people here. And that they're like, they know what you should expect. They know what they're gonna make units from. Because they have a more direct link, like communication with Games Workshop than we the viewers do. Viewers, I mean consumers. I hope this explains much more of our thinking and how we got about things and how to look best represent the most current version of the lore in our game. So now let's get into it and run you through the changes that are coming to Kislev as part of patch 4.2. Judging by the size of the scroll bar thing, it's gonna be a shorter one. Kislev additions. I think I need to first address the elephant in the room when it comes to Kislev and the content that was offered at the launch of Shadow Change and what wasn't. The lack of new spell lore from Mother Stankia, oh, so that's what we're getting. And the omission of Hag Mothers as a generic lore type. I'll start with the spell lore that we're adding to patch 4.2. For both Mother Stankia and her Hag Witches to make full use of the lore of the Hag. It will be comprised of 6 new spells and a lore attribute focused on both hexing enemy units and overcasting bless your own. Get in more details of what each spell do in the section below. Alright. So I already have a feeling about this. If it's gonna be a buff and debuff lore, like a whole lore, focus on that. They need to fucking overhaul how debuffing and buffing works. They need to last much longer because buffs and debuffs has a very small impact compared to a direct damage spell. Or like an AoE blast. Because combat is slow in Total War games. Even Warhammer, that is like the fastest combat of all the Total War games, it is still like a 20-second buff does close to no impact to like change the tide of 2 units fighting each other. And I don't know why they're so afraid of letting buffs and debuffs last much longer. Like debuffs that do damage, that's one thing, but debuffs that is just like minus blah blah blah, like those things should last way longer. Like due to how the combat works, like unit swings like what, every 2 seconds, every 3 seconds they take a shot at each other. Most of the time they miss. Yeah, like make buffs last 1 to 2 minutes. At least single target ones. Like AoEs, it may be a little shorter because you affect more units. But honestly, they need to crank up the timers. Those things. So if this is a whole lore dedicated to buffing and debuffing, it's gonna be useless in their current iterations and game design. Coming back to the Hag Mothers now, as previously mentioned, there is only one Hag Mother in the current lore of Kislev, as told by Games Workshop, and this is Mother Stankia herself. This lore is very new, as is Mother Stankia in the IP. So I want to inform you the best I can to share you who she is, how she aids Kislev, and why there are no other Hag Mothers in the lore or our game. Mother Stankia is a character of great importance to many Kislevites, acting as guardian of the land in times of great peril. But also to be wary of and not cross to avoid her wrath. It is her magic that is wielded in battle, both by herself and her Hag Witches, and her unstoppable force that brings both man and nature to fight for her cause, and that of Kislev's. With the exception of Mother Stankia herself, the few other hags of Kislev are not generals. They have no interest in leading armies themselves. Instead, they help enact Mother Stankia will through Kislev's other leaders and their forces. With this new lore in mind and staying as close and true to it, we need to look for other generic lore options for Kislev to field instead of Hag Mothers, and I think we came up with a good option, thanks to Games Workshop helping guide us, the Drushina. More on him later. Let's first take a look on the lore of the Hag as promised, and show you what fun new tricks Mother Stankia has at her disposal. I got little gifts. Lore of the Hag. Available to both Mother Stankia and Hag Witches. The Lore of the Hag features 6 new spells and a new lore attribute. Lore attribute. I think lore attributes are the effects that happens when you cast a spell. Like, trying to remember one now. Is it a lore of metal that gives you armor? When you cast a spell, when you have the lore of metal one, that you gain armor % or whatever. Or was it a flat amount, like plus 10 armor? Well, yeah, that was an example. The fire one that gives armor piercing, I think, whatever. But yeah, it's those things. The spell lore is focused primarily on disrupting and hexing enemy units, but with a twist. As when overcasting this spell, they become augments that you can use on your own forces. Complement Stankia's campaign mechanics of curses and blessings to provide more ways to play with unique characters. Alright, so I'm guessing there's an effect, and when you overcast it, it's like the reverse effect, but on your unit. So like, if something is minus 20 melee attack, the overcast version will be plus 20 attack to your units. Maybe even more because it's an overcast. Most of the time it doubles the spell cost. Lore attribute, Fate of Interlopers, Area of Hexes. Fate of Interlopers activates every time a Lore of the Hag is cast. A Lore of the Hag spell is cast. Provides a debuff to enemy. Yeah, so it was what I said. It's the passive effect when you cast the spell. It provides a debuff to enemy units while buffing your own troops simultaneously. Minor decrease in leadership for the enemies. Increase spell resistance for your troops. Alright. I don't know, spell resistance are pretty weak stat. Minor leadership increase, it's pretty boring. Like, how often do we actually route the AI on higher difficulties with debuffs? Spells. Forbidden Fence. The Hag beseech ethereal forces deep underground to seep upwards and hamper progress of our enemies, draining all momentum from them. Alright, so this is like the Lore of the Life spell, I think. Twisting from below, I guess? No, it's the field effect. Alright. Curse, the Forbidding Fence. Area of Hexes. Negatively affects enemy speed, charge speed, and vigor. Boring. Blessing, Whispers in the Woods. Positively affects ally speed, charge, bonus, and vigor, while granting Strider and Unspottable. Alright, for those who don't know what Strider is that you don't get movement penalties. So if you're a infantry-sized unit, you don't get penalty moving through water, like swamplands or rivers. And for large units, that means you don't get penalties in the woods. And if I remember correctly, Strider also makes you like phase through trees, so it's easier to path with large units in forests. I could be wrong on that, but I have a vague memory, something like that. Something did that at least. Witch Brew. I like the animation of the cauldron. The cauldron erupts in a bubbling crescendo, splashing its contents and Motherland's boundless wrath, all over her hopeless enemies. Curse, Witch Brew, Breath. Damage unit is in a path and applies poison contact effect. Oh, dude, if you hit this on your own units, will they also get poison? I think they do. Like, Friendly Fire is a thing with spells. Blessing, Witch Broth. Damage units in a path. Damage units in its path applies a contact effect to friendly units, which heals them, boosting their vigor and making them immune to enemy contact effects. Alright, that's a cool one. Let's see, damage units in its path. Alright, so it's still a wind spell by the looks of it. Looks like a line, which we call wind spells. Because of Wind of Death is the reason why we call it that. Because that was the most iconic one in the first game. Blah 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 blah. It applies a contact effect to friendly units. Damage units in its path applies a contact effect to friendly units. So I think we still damage our own with it. But we gain a buff, which heals them. I wonder if that negates the damage from the spell. Booster Vigor. Vigor healing is always nice. It's one of those invisible stats, as I call them. The ones you don't think about, but they actually plays a big part in the result of battles. Or at least in melee clashing. Making them immune to enemy contact effects. Enemy contact effects are very few, so it doesn't really matter that much. Contact effects is all effects that happens when the unit attacks you to attack them. Like the most common one is poison. Some have minus leadership. Sunder is another one, the one that gives minus armor. Yeah, it's those things. And so it's not a super amazing ability, unless it lasts long. I'll look over the spells after I read all of them and reflect. Curse of the Ancient Witch. A hooded figure is summoned by the hag. By the hag whispers words of terror, both mortal and immortal, to those who should never, ever have gone wandering in the woods. Curse of the Ancient Witch. Negatively affects enemies with missile block chance, armor, and will spread to nearby enemies within the spell's spread range. Augment. Imbues magical attacks, positively enhance armor-piercing missile damage, base missile damage, and reload skill. There is standard, whatchamacallit, marksman / ranged infantry. Oops, sorry, hiccups. Yeah, very standard ranged infantry buffs, I guess. Like armor piercing, base damage, and reload skill. Yeah. For those who don't know, reload skill is the same as attack speed, basically. It's how fast they shoot. Vengeance of Spirits. This looks like a typical AoE attack. Hack channels a malevolent spirit into the enemy's soul to saturate their being and gradually tear them to bloody minuscule shreds from inside out. Area of direct damage. Damage enemies within the radius and applies silence attribute, which stops affected units from being able to use abilities or cast spells. Now we're talking. Now that's a nice debuff. I don't know how much is gonna matter against the AI, but in PvP, I don't care much for. But I think it's still worth noting. This could be really good. That's definitely a very unique thing for because I don't think I've ever heard of silence before as a debuff. And the blessed version, Omen of the Spirits, enhances the flow of winds of magic in favor of yours allies spellcaster, dealing damage in the process. Enhances the flows of winds of magic in favor. I guess that's winds of magic recharge rate increase. It just feels counterproductive if that's the case. Like you overcast a spell, get more winds of magic, when that normally is gonna just result in you getting less winds of magic, because you have to pay the cost of the overcast. Alright, Cursed Cauldron. Did we already do this one? Oh no, this is a different cauldron attack. Conjure up the hag's cauldron, spectral missiles shoot upwards to rain carnage down on the foes. Oh, it's like a two-part attack. So first she casts it, and there's an explosion. And then that itself casts mini explosions around it. Pretty cool. I like that. It makes me think of I don't remember the name of it, but the Chaos Dwarfs like basic magic missile. There's a magic missile and then turns into like a mini vortex for a few seconds. I really like that spell. Let's see. Curse. Curse Cauldron. A static central vortex that fires projectiles that spawn smaller moving vortexes on impact. Oh, so they are vortexes. I thought it was just an explosion. Oh yeah, I see them moving around. Veles Cauldron. The same as the above, but this vortex no longer harms friendly units that are caught in the area of effect. Alright, spells that doesn't do friendly fire. You just drop it in the biggest clump you have. Enemies you're fighting. Pretty brainless strategy. And I don't mean that as an insult, I mean it's like the obvious course of what you're doing. Because, yeah, that's gonna cause a lot of leadership damage on the enemies if they're losing damage from both spells and getting chopped up by your infantry line. And monsters, what have you. Malediction of Madness. A sudden rush of nightmares visions floods the victim's psyche, driving them to a fleeting madness that debilitates even the hardest warrior. Malediction of Madness. Hex. Negatively affects enemy base weapon damage, armor piercing weapon damage, melee attack, and inflicts rampage. Incantation of Mania. Increases base weapon damage, armor piercing weapon damage, melee attacks, and inflicts rampage. Alright, so rampage is when you cannot control the unit and they're attacking whatever enemy is closest to them. Anyone who played Lizard Men in Warhammer 2 knows this ability, stuff very well. I think Rampage also gives like increased melee attack and decreased melee defense. Alright, so let's go over the spells again. Forbidden Fence. It's super boring. These spells are never worth using because, again, they don't last long enough to make a difference. And normally they're not... normally they're just a waste of Winds of Magic. You have to keep in mind you have a limited amount of Winds of Magic. Which I wish they reworked how Winds of Magic worked. So you can just have more spell casting. But... yeah, I wish there was a way to like maybe just have longer cooldowns on damage abilities compared to buffs and debuffs. And make it so you can spam buffs and debuffs because you still have the miscast thing. So if you spam spells non-stop, you increase your chance of getting miscast, which how much damage does it do? 25 or 50% of the cast yourself? Which I think is affected by magic resistance. So if you have a lot of magic resistance, you take less miscast damage. Someone is cooking downstairs. Right now it smells like onions. So there was something about mozzarella. No. Yeah, this spell in its current form and in the current state of magic is a garbage spell. This is a wasted slot. So 1 out of 6 bad so far. Witch Brew. This is a breath spell. This one is probably good. Depends on it's gonna depend on the cost. If this is a cheap wind spell or if it's like a more expensive one. And again, it depends on the damage. And how much it heals. Still confused about the description. If it's gonna damage friendly units but then heal them afterwards. Boost of Vigor matters like halfway to the end of the fight. Doesn't matter at the start when everyone is fresh. So this one is okay. This one is fine. Witch Brew. Curse of the Ancient Witch. It's another wasted spell because of weak buff and debuffing is, and this is purely buff and debuffing. This one is probably not going to see much because, again, the bonuses are normally too low and the buff and debuff duration normally too short. And for as long as Creative Assembly are not gonna increase debuff and buff durations, buff and debuff spells are gonna suck ass. Hello Clover, and welcome to Creative Assembly's blog post. We're currently going through the new lore. And as I ranted at the start of it, if it's an entire lore based on buffing and debuffing, they need to do something about buffing and debuffing not being very impactful to start with. They need to buff that shit. And not just numbers, but like duration needs to be 1 minute plus for it to actually have a time to make a difference. In my opinion. Also, they need to like rework how Winds of Magic, the reserves work. Like, so you can cast more spells, so you can actually cast things that are not damaging spells. Like, you want a reason to cast the buffs and debuffs. And my quick solution to that was make debuffs and buffs cheaper and have them and have damaging spells a much longer cooldown, so you have like this gap between, and just let you cast more spells, because you're still going through the miscast chance whenever you cast a spell, which can damage your caster a lot. Alright, let's see. So Vengeance Spirit, and now I'm just like going through the spells again. Alright, this was the Vortex. This is probably gonna be the second. No, wait. This is not the Vortex. This is like Fate of Bijuna. Direct damage. It's gonna depend what the damage on this one is. Normally, people favor the kind of Vortex spells more. This one might just be a dead spell, because we have a better AoE spell here. And yeah, enhance the flow of Winds of Magic, blah blah blah. This doesn't tell us anything. I assume it's increased Winds of Magic gain, which is counterproductive to overcast to just get more Winds of Magic by spending a lot of Winds of Magic, which overcasting normally is. Yeah, there's never been much reason. Damage spells just have more impact, because I don't know why they're so afraid of buffs in Warhammer 3. Well, in Warhammer in general. So yeah, Cursed Cauldron, this one is really good. Overcasting, making it do no damage. You just overcast this, throw it into your melee blob that you have. That is blobbing against the enemy blob. And you're pretty much gonna win that encounter shortly after. Unless the damage is super bad. But it's probably good. This is probably a really expensive spell to overcast as well. But yeah, no friendly fire damage, a vortex spell. You just drop it there and your infantry is gonna win shortly after, in most cases. God knows, legendary difficulty Lizardman never fucking breaks. And the ultimate spell, Malediction of Madness. Which one was this again? Alright, the Rampage debuff and buff. This is another garbage spell. Probably gonna be expensive, like 15 plus Winds of Magic. Or something that's not worth it because it's not gonna last long enough. This is probably gonna last like, I'm gonna guess 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, and that's not gonna be enough. If this lasted, yeah, 1 to 2 minutes, maybe I'd consider it. If it was cheap and damage spells were on cooldown. Alright, that covers that. Inherently flawed because Creative Assembly don't like buff and debuff durations lasting very long to have an impact on a fight. So we're just gonna sort to pretty much 2 spells for the min-maxers. Gonna be the Witch Brew, if it's cheap. And then it's gonna be a Curse of Cauldron probably. Vengeance of Spirits, this one depends on mana cost and how much damage it is. But most likely people are just gonna prioritize Cursed Cauldron. Because we love our Vortex spells. Vortex spells are very good. At least against the blobs. Alright, Drushina. The Drushina is a character steeped in Kislev lore, a lesser noble that lives beyond the walls of Kislev's great cities and tends to his own lands and his people. Ever ready to serve the Tsar and Tsarina, or Tsarina, I mean. The Drushina are well connected to nature that surrounds them and bring with them to war items that have been handed down generation by generation. Alright, this is like Counts and Dukes title. They will act as a great addition to Kislev's roster, bridging the gap that we had between Boyars and that of Mother Stankia in who could lead her armies. The Drushina are... Alright, so this is lore now. The Drushina are drawn from minor Kislevite nobility and consist of land-owning men of sufficient means that they can afford a horse, armor, and weapons, which to defend the motherland, called upon by the Tsar. As if befitting of members of establishment, the Drushina have disdain for city dwellers, and are keen to preserving the rule hierarchy that provides their power and status, but are also self-sufficient, resourceful, and have a healthy attitude to the very real likelihood that they will be killed during military service. The Drushina's main weapon of choice is the Great Axe, very nasty when swung with conviction, yet they also carry a bow. Alright, so we have great weapon and bow. Great weapons are normally the best infantry versus infantry weapon. Bows are always fine. It's just whenever we see these hybrid units, it's always a matter of vigor loss. Because shooting arrows cost a lot of vigor over time. And if he's gonna do that the whole match and then start fighting, he's gonna be fighting in melee when he's like tired. Or exhausted, I think it's called, when you're at the bottom of the vigor. Alright, do we have a big picture? A little blurry one. Alright, so we have 3 different hats. The armor looks to be the same. I mean, this is just a sketch. It could be a variety, but not holding my hopes up when it comes to creative assembly. Slightly different axes. Bow looks to be the same. Different colored fuzzy things at the end. Looks fine. Looks cool. Red and white. Very Russia style. Gameplay overview. Despite being a faction of hybrid units, Kislev has selected a truly hybrid lord type characters that sit between the melee focused boyar and the magic focused ice witch. The Drushina subscribes to this playstyle by supporting missile lines with his abilities, while holding his own in melee with a powerful armor piercing great weapon. The Drushina is able to deal significant single target damage with his bow and able to deal armor piercing damage with his axe in melee. Is this just gonna be a stronger huntsman general? My guess is gonna be like slightly weaker than the huntsman general in terms of range firepower, because the huntsman general has like a snipe ability at higher levels. But he's gonna be stronger in melee because he has a great weapon. Which, I don't remember what exactly does Huntsman General have. I think they just have a sword. Missile unit enhancement. Units near the Drushina will benefit from increased missile stat. First, when I read this in the segment above, I was thinking this is gonna be like the engineer slash what are they called? Shipwhite, the Vampire Coast hero. Ammo replenishment. The Drushina is the only unit in the Kislev roster that can replenish used up ammunition for friendly units, making him an effect support character. I think they mean making him an effective supporting character for the Kislevite missile line. Yeah, Gunnery White, that's the one. So yeah, ammo replenishment, it's nice. Can't really remember many times I've been out of ammo as Kislev though. It's mostly been with the cannons. The little Grom. They have been running out of ammo. I have experience, but normally don't run out of ammo that often. Like, it has happened, but mostly with the what are they called? The fucking Taiwan archers. Alright, the Golden Knight, Nariska Lazia. Legendary hero. Balancing out the legendary heroes on offer in Shadow Change, and thus looking for a character to join Kislev's ranks. The Golden Knight is the champion of the Ice Queen. This is an honorary rank bestowed to the greatest warrior among the Drushina, or occasional history boyars, or even common soldiery. Nariska is the daughter of the previous Golden Knight, who died at the side of Tsar Boris. As a girl, Nariska learned swordcraft from her father, honoring her skills as a warrior from the finest in the realm. Though she was derided by her peers, she stood forward as a candidate as the guardian of the Tsarina when the Drushina elected her father's successor. Nariska is tall and powerfully built, the physical equal of a mighty warrior's. Translation, she's gonna be using a male model. But her greatest attribute is her determination. Such is her drive that she trains longer and more intensely than any other. And in battle she fights with a fury born of stubborn pride. In Kislev she is unmatched in combat. Every golden knight is consecrated by the cult of Urson, and so Nariska bear both religious ornamentation and the favor of the Ice Court. In this way she unifies the divided church and state. Or I thought this was a beard first. What is it called? Lamellar? When it's like padded, overshadowed like scales. It's called scale mail. The Queen of Kislev champion is known as the Golden Knight. Wait, we just... This lore snippet is like almost what we just read through here. Yeah, it is. They're even bringing up that she was the previous blah blah blah. It's pretty much this, but they just rewrote it down here. That's kind of... Alright, a good picture it looks like. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like this square pattern mail thing that they have here. I always like the look of this. Makes it look chunky. Cool scimitar. Assuming that's a scimitar. Probably gonna be glowing and shit. Gameplay overview. The Golden Knight is heavily armored guardian hero. Guardian meaning that they're gonna give damage reduction. I think it's ward save even to the lord of the army. With a focus on protecting friendly characters and buffing the resolve of her comrades nearby. Wearing a full suit of armor and wielding a powerful magical sword, Urson's Claw, she is the bulwark which many a foe will have difficult overcoming. Bodyguard. Golden Knight is exceptional protector, using her defensive abilities and stats to increase the durability of nearby friendly forces and heroes. Yeah, that's the guard passive effect. Yeah, I think they wanted to hit the minimum. Like I said at the start of this, judging by the size of this scroll bar thingy, this is going to be a shorter post. Inspiration. The more damage sustained by the Golden Knight, the more determined surrounding friendly units become to fight on. Oh, do we have any unit that works like that? More damage sustained by the Golden Knight, the more determined surrounding friendly units become to fight on. So the more damage taken, the stronger her leadership aura becomes, maybe? Not that Kislev ever has leadership problems, because they have the fucking unbreakable thing. When they break for the first time. Duelist. The Golden Knight's durability and powerful sword allows you to go toe-to-toe with melee lords and heroes. Doesn't say much. Normal duelist means that they don't have like good splash damage, their attacks. Mounts, Warhorse. Yep. Kislev standard. No bear. There's Freddy sniffing around. Kislevite Warriors units. Come to better understand that not every unit in the DLC needs to be a centerpiece monster, and headed in the other direction with this new unit, plugging a much needed lower tier infantry gap. Lower tier infantry gap. What fucking gap? Don't we have Kossars at tier 1, we have armored Kossars at tier 2, and we have the Sword Guard at tier 4 or 5? 4. Maybe that's a landmark thing. There's no gap in the infantry line. Kislev. Stop talking shit. The Kislevite warriors armed with their halberds at Tier 1 troops. Whoa! Yeah. Tier 1 halberds units, let's go. That are decent at withstanding a charge and bound by their blood. Fight to the bitter end for Kislev. Taking inspiration in their design from old Mordheim miniatures. Just like they do the Sheena and creating something with much closer feel and look to land. We are taking inspiration in their design from the older Mordheim miniatures. Let me just scroll up a bit. What did they say? The very start of all. Was it here at Kislev edition? No, I think it was before that. I think it was in this part here. Let's see. We focus on the newest army books, 8th edition, or as close as possible, and miniatures. Rather than adding things from early editions, RPG books, old miniatures, or peripheral novels and supplements that no longer embody the core nature of the character, race, environment, etc. By doing this, we ensure that we're showing you the most authentic version of the Warhammer world possible. We are taking inspiration in their design from older Mordheim miniatures. Let's see. Mordheim tabletop release date 1999. That's 25 years ago. I am glad the integrity of your words are as solid as ever, Creative Assembly. Alright, so here we are, a 25-year-old model in their 8th edition, or as close to as possible representation. Yeah, I think they're meant like mentions in army books or whatever. You know how people love to take like that one 3-line paragraph to, oh, they need to add this fucking werebear unit or whatever they find. Need to add these random ass Norska monsters that was mentioned, or this random ass hero guy. To be fair, that's how Alberic came to into existence. Alright, so this is this. This looks like typical costs. Oh, I hope they're green. Hope they look like this. It'll really make them stand out. No, but I know what they're doing. They're just like showing how the jacket looks like. It's they put focus on what's part of the jacket and what's part of the. All right, let's see. Oh, we accidentally scrolled to the bottom. Well, there we got spoiled. Gameplay overview. Kislevite warriors are halberd wielding infantry. They have this halberd. All right. That occupy a low price point with the Kislev roster. Because they don't pay the tax of being a hybrid unit, Kislevite warriors have more entities than a standard Kislevite infantry, are making them effective meat shield for the rest of your army. They don't pay the tax of being a hybrid unit. I didn't know there was a tax for being a hybrid unit. I thought it was just something to slap on for giggles. Aren't most... I swear most Kislev units are 100 strong on the largest unit scale. Well, that's just a bunch of words. I guess these are like 120 of the 100. Sheep. Kislevite warriors are the cheapest true melee unit in the Kislev roster. Them a great pick in the early game. Well, I mean, it's either this or Khazars, and we all know range warfare, range supreme. So nice, a dead unit. Well, I guess for some people it would be fun to play pike and arrow. Pretending this unit makes a difference. Frontline troops. With more entities than any other Kislev infantry, the Kislev warriors serves a decent screen for missile infantry. Not necessarily true, it depends how sturdy they are. I mean, they don't have a shield, so they're gonna get shooed out by units. Maybe they have good melee defense. They're probably not gonna have good armor. I'm gonna guess they have 35 armor. Typical human infantry's armor stat line. Frostworm, unit and mount. Alright, we'll look at the picture later. You may recognize this name if you have ever ventured into Norsca or played a campaign of theirs. Now called a Chaos Frost Dragon in the Norscan unit, is very different from the Kislev true Frostworm. Well, yes, a dragon and a worm are two different things, so glad they're not the same. A hulking flightless beast. Also, speaking of the Frostworm, I wish it wasn't the split-headed one, because that's that's a character dragon. That is the whole the head split into two new heads things. That's not the generic Chaos Dragon, don't look like that. Whatever. A hulking flightless beast, deadly in combat with massive fangs, scything claws, and a vicious slashing tail. Alright, so they're gonna have like a tail whack animation like the Carnosaur, that's nice. The Frostworm acts as both individual units or a mount for Katarine and her Ice Witches. Does this mean Kathleen has 4 mounts now? Horse? Wait, maybe she doesn't have horse. Bear, sled, and now dragon. Or worm. Alright, this lore we can read. Frostworms are creatures of magic who primarily roost in the crags of Shargon. Swift and sinuous, who sleep away with the warmest parts of the year in hibernation, venturing out onto the oblast to hunt prey when the weather is at its coldest. Their natural prey are wandering herbivore beasts, which are easily devoured whole by an adult frostworm in times of famine. They have been known to consume... Wait, no, that's 2 different meanings. They're changing the topic. Yeah, this inn is in... There's supposed to be a dot here. Break up the line, because it's a capital N. In times of famine, they have been known to consume chaos beasts too, taking savage delight in chomping down troll or minotaur when the need arises. Beings of ice magic, frostworms are naturally aligned to the witches of the Ice Court. In desperation, an ice witch will travel to the crags and besiege the slumbering worms for aid, and it is not unknown for a frostworm to answer their calls in the times of coldest winter. The Ice Queen's power is such that winter travels where she does, and no frostworm would ever refuse her. Alright. Not to be rude, but this is like the type of drawing I can do this kind of drawing. Not this though. This is a bit more advanced. Oh, they're reusing the salamander. I see it instantly. This is the salamander like animation. They just gave it a head, like a dragon head. Ah, I like the tail. Big spiky clump. Yeah, this is a cool looking unit. Where's the saddle? Oh, it gets an ice saddle. Does that mean it's a part of the body? Or is it just like ice conjured on its back because it wouldn't be bothered by it? But yeah, it looks cool. I hope it has decent melee stats so it doesn't get slaughtered by infantry. Let's see, game... Oh, it says fast. Alright, this one is gonna die to melee infantry. Never mind. The Frostworm is a deadly mid-tier monster which can move its way across the battlefield relatively quickly for a monster of its size. So I'm guessing 90 movement speed. With the top end of the roster getting particularly crowded, the Frostworm's power level is comparable to that of a Dark Elf War Hydra. Isn't the War Hydra a tier 4 unit? Isn't that like the next best thing you can bring that isn't a Black Dragon in terms of monsters? Or the Stegadon, Lizardman. But I guess a feral Stegadon is weaker than a normal Stegadon, but I mean, the Stegon is still a late game unit. It's like only beaten by the Carnosaur, really, and the Carnosaur is pretty expensive. And I guess arguably by the... Like, is the big one called again? Dinosaur? No. I know its name, just not right now. But yeah, the super big one that comes with Hunter and the Beast DLC. Anyways, this enables it to really stand out on its own as a unique pick when compared to Elemental Bear or Incarnate Elemental of Beast. Right, that's also part of this DLC, the Incarnate Elemental. Which, if I remember correctly, is better than the Elemental Bear. Unless you're playing as Boris, who gives them regen. He gives Elemental Bears regen, that is. Fast. Frostworm is fast for a creature's size, which enables it to maneuver position quicker than most. The Frostworm utilizes the Frostbite contact effect, slowing enemies that it attacks. That's always nice. Mount Katarina Ice Witches may use the Frostworm as a mount. Does that mean the Ice Bear is obsolete, or is the... Because I don't see there's being a fight. It's either one or the other. You know, this one is probably unlocked later, and you can have the bear in the meantime. When do we get the bear? Is it... Okay. The bear's like level 12, I think. Is it 12 or 18? It could be like the Arachnarok for the Goblin Shaman, where you start with the wolf. Wait, do they get wolf? No, the Shaman doesn't get wolf. Only get the spider later on. Oh no, they do get wolf. Yeah. God, I haven't played the Greenskin in a long time. Mount for Katarina Ice Witch. Ice Court Sled Mount. Free LC. So this one you get for free. I can't tell you how pleased the team are to be finally realizing the Ice Court Sled in the game for you all. It's been on our wish list, like many of yours, for some time since the launch of Total War Warhammer 3. Katarina will now rightly be able to nip across the snow-covered plains, hills, and mountains of lands. Players will only need Total Warhammer 3 to access the piece of free content. Ownership of Shadow Exchange DLC not required. Ice Core's reinforced sled is drawn by mighty steeds with breath like winter wind and whose flanks shimmer with glittering ice crystal. Been on our wish list for some time since the launch of Total Warhammer 3. Why am I not buying this? Why do I not believe them for 5 cents? I feel like they're talking out of their ass. If they wanted this, they would have added it from the start. They know this was a popular demand. It's like this is like an attempt to please the crowd, so to speak. No, they wanted to see if they could get away with not bringing up the sled and just give her copy-paste the bear mount like everyone else in Kislev. If they wanted to have this since the start of the game, they would have been added to the start of the game. Because this is not hard to make. It's like a... For first thing, this is a super... It's a sled, so it's super static. We already have this... do we call this double bear pulled thing? Like this already exists in the normal sled. The normal war sled, so they don't need to work on that to make that work, because we already have that since the start. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cool looking sled, but I don't believe that they needed to wait 2 years to be able to make this. So yeah, not buying this. This is I'm glad we're getting it, but they're talking out of their ass when they're saying they couldn't make it at the start. Just trying to get away without making it. Gameplay overview. Like the wind, pulled by 6 of the finest steeds in Kislev has to offer. Oh, so it's not pulled by 2 bears then. I'm just struggling seeing how this is gonna fit 3 horses on each side, but maybe it makes sense in the picture. Indomitable. The momentum of the sled allows it to push through enemy infantry lines with ease, making it an effective unit for disrupting and confusing enemy formations. Literally every chariot in the game ever. Ice Guard crew. 2 members of the Ice Guard fire their bows from the sled, allowing it to also be used as a missile chariot in pinch. Not in a pinch, by default. You're not gonna run into melee with this with fucking Katarine, because Katarine isn't that great of a melee fighter, especially not on a large mount. She's okay, but at the end she's still a caster lord. You're gonna cast spells, and you're gonna be casting spells from a distance, and while you're at a distance you might as well shoot your arrows. And normally these units have infinite ammo. So that's always a plus. Yeah, kinda like that, like you said. Try to skip out on it. Oh, what's this? We'll Mount for Catherine. I hope you enjoyed learning. Alright, so before reading this, I'm gonna assume this is like, oh, these are the units you got before. But when you put it like this, you can see all the new units getting added. I hope you're learning about all the new characters, units, and spells coming for Kislev. So I've added a treat for your lore lovers out there. Next week, that I touched on at the start of this blog, we have once again partnered with Black Library novelist David Geimer to bring you a wonderful dark tale, Things in the Wood. Take a closer look at Mother Stankia and the Kingdom of Kislev. Total War account holders, please keep your eyes peeled for news in your inbox on Monday. I'm not gonna read that, but if you guys like reading lore, go ahead. I just don't care about the lore that comes from this game specifically. I do like my Warhammer lore, but just doesn't have the same impact. When it's from this game, it doesn't feel as canon. So now you heard, even though I know it's canon, blah blah blah, etc. So now you heard all about the new additions. The team wanted to gather together the content in its entirety to show you what the Shadow Change offering looks like. Comparison. I wish I could make this picture larger. That's it for now. Thank you for ongoing support and feedback. The team and I are super excited for the future. Blah 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 blah. The distant future of Total War. For Sigma, Rich Aldridge, game director, and Total War Warhammer team. Alright, so this is what we got. Wait, who is this? What lord is this? I don't remember. I mean, it's obviously a Beastman lord for the siege, but alright, let's see. So there's the Vortex Beast. This is the Incarnation. This is the Blue Scribes. I don't remember what these crowmen are called, but I know it's a part of Cafe. The Legendary Lord for Cafe. The Jade Lion thingies, and there's the Obsidian one. Actually, I don't remember if they're Obsidian. The Useless Wardroom. This is just the Lord in his dragon form. This is Mother Stankia. This is Lord Hellbrand. Is that what his name is? The legendary lord at the Siege got. Siege / Hordes of Chaos. The overpowered crossbow dude that replaced every infantry unit in Kislev army rosters. What are these guys called again? It's the generic lord for like gate masters or something like that. Alright, let's see. Oh. Alright, not as smooth as I imagine. Oh, you don't need to hold. Alright, so you don't hold it, just click. Alright, let's see. The Frostworm. The magic bird. What the that's the lion thing. The griffin for Cafe. Another flamer, another flying flamer that hopefully comes in a group. Make it stand out from the chariot, the flying chariot flamer. The Golden Knight. The Kislev Warriors, they're called. This is the hero. This is the melee hero for Cafe. The is this a hero? Was this a generic dude? I think it was a generic dude. The free-headed guy. The hero for Cafe. The legendary hero, rather. There's the sled. Oh, so that's what it looks like. Yeah, that looks nothing like this. Like it's extended. It's 2x2 by 2. So 2 times 3. And that's the new generic Lord for Siege. The Dreshina, the generic Lord for Kislev. The Siege Centigors. Alright. Alright, now we can reflect on all of this, because now we know what we're getting. Is it nice? It is nice. My problem is with this new strategy of theirs is that you're splitting up between 3 factions, and you might not necessarily want to play all those 3 factions because you don't like playing those factions. It feels like you're paying more to get to play with the things you want to play with. That is my main issue when they're doing it, because when it was just 2 factions, it's still a cheaper price, or it was a cheaper price. This is the new standard for them. Putting in 3 factions with the content, but the content itself is nice, I guess. New additions are good. I guess I can't complain about the price of the DLC anymore. I still wish when they do these, the campaigns needs to be better. Like, they need to stand out. When I stand out, and when I mean this need to stand out, I don't mean they need to be like this fucking guy right here. His campaign is atrocious. Because it's so fucking boring and easy. I mean, I'm sure there are people that has like the power fantasy. And for those who are not looking, because I'm your second monitor, for one, thank you for watching. Secondly, I'm talking about the Siege guy. I can't remember his name. The one, the Conceiver, or whatever his name is. But yeah, some big stumpy units, some infantry units added, and a piece of cavalry here and there. Cavalry / monsters goes kind of into the same one. The smaller monsters, not the bigger ones. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, especially what they added. I did enjoy. I did enjoy some of the stuff that was in by default. I don't know why they added the fucking dragon form and human form of the Cafe Lord. I guess they wanted it to look better. But yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments. What you think? Is this DLC worth it now? Is it good? Is this the way you wanted to see Creative Assembly go with Warhammer 3 from now onwards? The $25/euro triple faction DLCs rather than just 2 factions for 15 that we used to get. Now that they're adding legendary heroes as well. But now everyone is just getting 1 lord each, etc. Blah blah blah. With that, I want to thank you all for watching. I have a Twitch in the description, and I have another YouTube where I put in video reviews. One is soon to come after this video's out in a few days. And until next time, bye bye.